Democrats hoping to be our next president facing off in Miami last night.
You know, there are so many candidates right now that the field had to be split into two, with the second group of 10 taking the stage tonight. Governor Jay Inslee was joined on stage last night by Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is among the top polling candidates, as well as Senator Cory Booker and former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke, among others. There were some tense moments during the debate over immigration, especially.
Brandy is here with more on how Governor Inslee fared. Brandy, good morning.
Good morning. We had said early on that you got 10 people on stage. It is difficult for anyone to have sort of a breakout moment or to steal the spotlight too much. We did hear from all the candidates, although some more than others. We'll get to that in a moment. But Governor Inslee, fresh off his debate performance last night, joins us live on the phone. Governor, good morning to you.
You bet. Good morning.
So I want to make an acknowledgement that I'm sure you're painfully aware of. You got far less time than some of the other candidates last night. Out of all 10, you got the least amount of time, about 5 minutes, compared to Cory Booker, for instance, who got 11. How do you feel about that?
Look, I think, we're very efficient in Washington. I get more punch per word than maybe any of the other candidates. So, look, we had two goals last night. One is to tell the Washington story of success, of our tremendous achievements in Washington, of, highest teacher pay increase, best minimum wage, very first public health option in the United States, and therefore the best economy. So we were able to tell that story, and importantly, we were able to show that we have a unique approach and a vision statement that we will make defeating the climate crisis the number one priority of the next administration, and only that will accomplish our goals. So, yes, the ball, maybe it'll take a different bounce next time. We'll have some more time to explore this, but we felt really good about last night.
One climate question. You used your closing statement to talk about your climate agenda, but you were directed one climate question. Given the fact that you wanted a climate-only debate, the DNC rejected it, are you surprised you only got one?
Actually, I am, and the reason is that particularly in Miami, this is a town now being flooded literally. I met with the mayor of Miami Beach. They've had to spend almost $500 million on infrastructure because of the recurrent flooding. And it's the darndest thing, when you shop there now, you walk down off the sidewalks into the shops because they've had to raise their main street so it isn't flooded. When we arrived here 2 days ago, the Everglades, which is a swamp, was on fire. And when you have Miami flooded and the Everglades on fire, we do need a more in-depth discussion so that all of the candidates can share their ideas. And I think all of the candidates should be called upon to step up to the line and show what they've got on this existential crisis. Now, when that happens, I think, I will fare very well because I've got a plan that's been called the gold standard, and I've got a story of success in Washington where we're building the best economy in the country, in part because of clean energy. But the nation needs to hear that, so I hope that we move in that direction in the future.
Yeah, climate change, definitely your area of expertise. You had mentioned earlier that you spent a good portion of the debate when you had a chance to speak, talking about your record as a governor, focusing on that executive leadership versus perhaps the experience of a senator or a representative. You used that one time related to, and this is a moment in the debate that's been talked about nationally today, in relation to your work on reproductive rights, and it backfired a little bit. I want our viewers just to watch this quickly.
We do have one candidate that's actually advanced the ball, and we got to have access for everyone. I've done it as a public office.
Senator Klobuchar, I just want to say there's 3 women up here that have fought pretty hard for a woman's right to choose. So I'll start with that.
Governor, do you regret that moment, the way that you perhaps set Amy Klobuchar up for that?
No, look, all of the candidates, including Senator Klobuchar, have supported in one way or another a woman's right of choice. But I don't regret at all sharing what we've done in Washington State, which is something we need to do nationally. We ought to be proud in Washington. We've passed one of the few reproductive parity acts. What this law says is that no insurance company can deny a woman the right of reproductive health care. And reproductive health care is fundamentally health care. We need to make that a national law, and that point is an important one because women are under attack in many, many states across the nation. And if you don't have insurance coverage, this becomes a matter of poor women not being able to have protection that they should have. And I have been a fierce advocate for a woman's right of choice and dignity and privacy for decades, and I'm proud of those achievements. I think Washington should be proud as well.
Quickly, you came into this debate polling low. That's not a surprise to you. You know that. Your name recognition was lower than some of the other candidates. What's interesting is the day before the debate, we sent some of our sister stations out in swing states, Michigan, for instance, Colorado, to talk to voters, one, to see if they know who you are. A lot of them didn't. But then we asked, what do they think about your climate agenda? And a lot of them were like, well, yeah, I support that idea. So it sounded like they didn't hate the message. They just really hadn't met the messenger. Now that many of them have met you, do you think your polling fortunes will change?
Well, we hope so, and we'll see. Less than 1/3 of Americans could pick me out of a lineup before last night. We hope that improves. But it is a gradual thing. It's like, my friend Tim Whitaker, first American to climb Mount Everest. If you ask him how to climb a mountain, he'll tell you one step at a time. That's how you build a campaign. It's where President Clinton and Carter started, was very low in the polls at the beginning. So this is a gradual process. It's not something that will be done overnight. We're in the building phase, and I've been in many campaigns where I've started as a big underdog and managed to come out on top. So we hope that that'll be the case again. And we've got a great Washington story that is the foundation for my campaign.
And really quickly, Governor, before we let you go, we know you're busy making the rounds today. At what point do you have to make a decision? And look, we'll wait to see how the polling shakes out after these first debates, but really debates for candidates that are polling low or a make or break moment. If you guys aren't seeing the polls go up or the number of donors go up to maybe where they need to be in regards to the fall debates, when do you make a decision about whether you're going to stay in this race? Because your campaign told me just last week you haven't ruled out seeking a third term as governor. So at what point do you have to decide whether this candidacy is viable?
Well, we think it is viable because this message, two reasons. One, this message is so resonant. Climate change is the number one priority for Democrats. In fact, a poll came out this morning in that regard. Mm-hmm. And number two, we have a story that is much bigger than me, and that's the story of a state that has embraced these values that have led it to be so successful economically. Those two things are unassailable. So it's a matter of building name familiarity and building acquaintance. I'm going to Iowa tonight, where we have already 150 people RSVP'd as of last night, which is a really good showing. So this is a gradual building process. There's no definitive date I could give you.
So there's no cutoff point.
Forward progress.
There's no cutoff point where you have to say, I have to pick a path. It's either president or it's governor again.
Correct.
I guess the cutoff point would be when you have to actually put in the paperwork if you want to run for governor again, right?
You could say that. Okay. We're focused on doing two things, and I think successfully, running for president and helping Washington continue to succeed as we are. We had the best legislative session in my lifetime this year. Washington's on a roll, and I'm still playing a pretty important part in that.
All right, Governor Jay Inslee, fresh off his debate performance in Miami last night. We appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep, and then obviously we're going to have continuing